Morning, good evening, good afternoon, Giants fans. How are we doing? Hope you're all well. First off, thank you very much for tuning in. It's a pleasure, as always, to do this for you. It's myself. I'm a right-hand man, Mr. Frost. How you doing today, pal?
Great, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. Very good. I think we've got an interesting show to go ahead with today. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to deep dive into. So let's jump right in it.
This is probably the most. I mean, bear in mind recent news and everything like that. This is probably the most we've ever talked about a show, just because of the last game. I think genuinely, probably the most after the first show.
Yeah.
you know, genuinely.
Yeah, it's going to be a. Now, this is a disclaimer. Our frustrations on the Sunday game against Newcastle were apparent. So, as much as we like to be positive here, we will be positive and constructive, not necessarily just negative on this show.
That's the nail on the head there, Jake.
Yeah.
It's positive, but it's negative but constructive.
Yeah,
we never call anyone out.
So let's jump right on in then, mate. We've got the Newcastle game. Final score of 101-76. I mean, when you really look at it, we weren't that far behind until halftime, and then we just got absolutely annihilated, mate.
Yeah, and you know, before we sort of delve into each quarter, etc., there was a stat I shared with you just before we came onto the show, Jake, and the stat was obviously, you know, Newcastle only played with 8 players. I know they had more players there, but they had 8 players playing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the bench rotation played 7.5 minutes, and one of them played like 4.5 minutes. The rest of the 6 main players playing, each and every one of them scored more than their average points in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every one of them.
Each and every one of them also in double figures.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just get it up now. So, you know, we've got Rex Pfluger, okay? He averages 4.7 points a game, okay? He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he averages 4.7 points a game. He got 14 against us, yeah? Evan Maxwell, good player, don't get me wrong. Averages 15, scored 20. Cortez Edwards, averages 14, got 20. Darius Defoe, he played 31 minutes in this game. We're talking about a vet here. You know, it's near enough a full game. You know what I mean? He's 9 minutes of a full game.
Yeah.
Averages 9, scored 12. Ramon Fletcher, averages 17, scored 23. And then you've got Louis Sayers, averages 7.8, got 12. You know, I'm sorry, mate, and it is going to sound negative, and it is a bit in a way. You can't let players, like, season averages are there for a reason. That's what they score most games, yeah? For each and every one of them, bear in mind they're only playing, and we had a stacked bench. I wouldn't say stacked, but I'd say, you know, it was better than their bench.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And each and every single one of their players, bear in mind, Darius Defoe, I mean, how old is he? 36, is he?
Somewhere around there.
I can't remember how old he is.
I think him and Lasker are about the same age, yeah.
Yeah, so either way, he's a vet. He's playing 31 minutes, again, scoring more than his average. You can't win games like that, mate.
No,
you can't.
Not at all.
You can't. And I know, you know, we've seen this week, you know, regarding, you know, Pluto's put something up there, you know, regarding like, oh, look, you know, we're going to be playing a lot. We're going to be concentrating a lot more on defense. That is a must. That is a must.
Absolutely.
And as a Giants fan, and I know Giants fans have put it all in the Giants fans group and everything, I'm absolutely sick of teams walking through us, and they're not doing it on fast breaks. They're doing it on offenses.
Yeah.
Just it's like you know, we're getting beat by, you know, NBL motions. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't be. We've got an Iranian international, you know, who shone at what's it called, Asia Basket. Don't be wrong, in a good game. I'm just saying, in general, as a team, got Justin Satchel, right, who is a seasoned pro, played in about 5 or 6 different countries, and was one of the best players in each and every one of them countries. You know, and just come from San Lorenzo, arguably the best team in South America. You know, we've got Jordan Whelan, who's a seasoned pro in not just the BBL, but you know, other leagues. He's been to college in America. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go for the whole team. Sam Cassell, you know, all these players have got a pedigree, and they'll, and you know, something's not clicking. Something's not there. You know, I spoke to Justin. You know, he scored 9 points, but he only took 10 shots in the game.
Yeah.
And from a guy who's a scorer, you know, it's got to be frustrating for him because he doesn't. For me personally, it doesn't feel like he's part of our offense. It feels like he's having to chuck up random shots as and when he gets it.
Yeah, I think the offense in general now. I've had personally a few days to step back and rethink things. On the Sunday, I was emotional because it was a game that I genuinely think we should have won. You know, we got to half time, we were down by 5 or 6. It was like, which I actually listened back to our previous podcast, and exactly what we needed to happen: match them play for play, keeping them tight in the game, getting our bench points, which we'll go into in a bit. We had everything in the formula to win that game. Now, I went off on one in the Facebook fans group because the offense. Now, obviously, we've touched on the defense, and from a defensive point of view, we shouldn't be playing zone on Eagles. It's just outright we should not be playing zone on Eagles. They pass the ball too quickly around the arc. Their passing is phenomenal. You know, it's 3 or 4 passes. It's the high pick and roll. If that's not coming off for them, they've got a quick step out and a quick 3. But on the offensive side of it, it seemed like the shot clock to us was 10, 12 seconds. Yeah. And everything seemed rushed. Everything also, from my perspective, the stats kind of tell a story when you see the assists. But from the eye test and watching it, it seemed like whoever was dribbling the ball up, whether it was Sam, whether it was Whelan, whether it was Satch, there was, I can honestly say, more than 50% of the time, as a rough guess, we didn't make a single pass. I reckon we made 2 passes on a few offenses, and that was it. And that in itself, the plays where I stood up and applauded how well that play was our go-to high pick and roll, off at the top of the key, set a screen, roll off, and he was wide open. Now,
I mean, how many times did Jamipur do that and he had an open mid-range shot?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Why change it?
Until the team comes out and has a strat to go against that and has worked out during the game how to stop that. Go, just run it, just run it.
You know, Jamipur high scored with us with 16 points. Yeah, I saw him get several jump shots. They couldn't, for me personally, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to guard him personally. You know,
he was playing bully ball down low all game.
Yeah, you know, and I know, he did only get the sort of 3 rebounds. We know that. Sometimes it doesn't just fall for you, whatever. But, you know, if I was coming away and he got 8 points and 3 rebounds, I'd be a little bit more annoyed. But, you know, he got 16 points. Yeah. You know, probably could have got a few more. Excuse me, we need to be getting him, Satch. We need offenses revolving around them players. Look at every team in the NBA. Steph Curry has several offenses revolving around him.
God, he has 7 or 8 easily.
Yeah, LeBron James has several offenses revolving around him. I can sort of look and see we only play 3 or 4 offenses a game.
Yeah.
And as professional basketball, for me personally, each and every player should know and have drilled into them, I'd say over 10 offenses.
Easily.
You know, and that's all sideline plays and everything. Over 10 easily. You know, you've only got to go look everywhere. And it seems like, especially with teams like Newcastle and some of the better teams, Sheffield did it the other week, even though obviously they only just won by 1. When they got into it, their rotations and they've got several offenses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you said, Newcastle saw that, you know, how we set up. You know, obviously we dropped into a zone for a bit, blah, blah. You know, they saw that, and then they've got 3 or 4 offenses to play against it. You know, and that's when, you know, defense comes into it. Now, I understand, you know, it's, you know, we've got the new coach, things, it's a disjointed part. But sometimes you've got to play on talent alone. And we've got that talent. Our top 7 players can be and probably is as good as anyone in the league. And that's what's frustrating. And sometimes people do just play off talent alone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how teams get through it. You know, if it's not going right, play off talent alone. And that's what we need to start doing, personally, for me.
I mean, exactly like we said. Looking at the assists, you know, we had what, 2, 4, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14. What, 14 assists all game? Somewhere 18, sorry. 18 assists all game. Now, when you compare that to the 18 turnovers, is a bit bad to look at.
That should never happen.
Compared to Newcastle's 29 assists and 10 turnovers.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, we can look at stats all day and we can... It's very easy to slip into a stats. I'm guilty of it myself. It's very easy to slip in that stats and look at it and go, Jesus Christ, what we were playing at. But when you... I think a lot of people agree with this, is the eye test is a beautiful thing, because when you're watching that game, if you watch a full game, like not even just highlights, if you watch a full game start to finish, you can say that guy played amazingly. Again, we go back to it. David Ulf, he had what, 10 points, 2 rebounds. By his standards, not the best, but he also had 2 turnovers, 2 steals, and 1 block. Like, you look at that and go, well, it's not what he's usually doing, but he was running up and down that court like there was no tomorrow. He only played 21 minutes, which is around about what he usually plays. But he was genuinely, him and DJ, shout out to DJ, because for me, he is emerging as our best player.
Yeah.
And not just off high scoring points, but defense, running the energy, running up and down, getting the blocks, getting those points, getting the assists, getting the minute. Everything about him, for me personally, is one of our best players right now.
Yeah, and I kind of sympathise a little bit with Ulf, because obviously Defoe played, your 31 minutes, and you obviously, Evan Maxwell's a 7-footer, so it's going to be tough to get rebounds in there. You've just got to take what you can get.
Absolutely.
And I understand that a little bit, and that's why I sort of sympathise a little bit with the whole, Jeremy Paul thing, you're only getting 3 rebounds. But, on the flip side of that, it's like you said, we've got players stepping up, DJ emerging as well. I mean, I've never really doubted his talent. We knew what he could do. I just think all season he's been playing different positions. He had the whole thing at the start where he wasn't able to play. Everything. There's been, and we had COVID gaps and everything. So it's been a really, as we expected, disjointed kind of season. But it's like I always say, you just need 2 or 3 players just to step it up that little that little bit. It just needs to be go from 6 points to 10 points. And that's what, if you look, like I said, if you look what Newcastle do, each and every one of them, bear in mind they only really, really played 6 players.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them 6 players stepped it up that few, little bit. They went from averaging, say, for example, 14 points, 20. They got 20 points. The guys was averaging, so like Rex Pfluger, averaging 4 points, got, what did he get? 12, 14 points. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what it takes to win games. Just a few players just to step up. And I think the reason why we're so frustrated is because we're not sat here looking at a team with, say, Callum Jones, Ingus Bankovic, these stalwarts, don't get me wrong, but, they wasn't better than the other team. We're not sat there looking at a team like that anymore. We're sat there looking at a team of seasoned pros who, whether they're getting paid a lot or not, are in this position. They've earned this position. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why it's frustrating that we're not getting the results. And, how can a player like Satch go from averaging, 40% from 3-point line, to, only getting 3 out of 10 shots in the game, so that says it all. And this guy's played at a much better leagues than the BBL. So where's it going wrong? You know what I mean? That's why it's frustrating for us fans. You know what I mean?
Obviously, like we know that we're in a turnover point of view. We know that obviously with coaches going, Pluto stepping up and running it for the show until we get a replacement and things. Like we understand it's a transition process, but at the end of the day, like we try and be diplomatic as we can on this platform. But when you strip it back, we're both fans. We're both passionate fans of this club.
We're both paying fans. That's why it frustrates me. And, I'm not, I don't, obviously, I'm not digging out any team players when I say this. That's why I'm not mentioning one player in particular or anything like that. I'm just going around the whole team. We're paying fans. We might only be paying £20 a month at the moment, but we're still paying fans.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'd pay more if it meant Giants won. Do you know what I mean?
God, yeah.
I mean, that's the way I am.
Can we have a little word with the BBL and say, look, we're willing to pay £30 a month if we're winning 50% of our games. So going off that, we'll go on to the positives from that game. Don't want to go too much. I know we spoke quite a lot about the Newcastle game here, but if we move on to the performances from that game and how it transitions over to London on Friday. For me, London have looked a bit weak in the past few games. I mean, they've got the biggest depth in the league. We understand that because they're going for Eurobasket, blah blah. But they haven't looked like a clicky team also, and I think there's a lot of looking on Twitter. There's a lot of frustrations with London Lions as well. Like, it looks like they're higher up in the position of the league than us, but they look like they're having that kind of stumbling part of the season where it's like, shit, like we're losing games here, guys. Like what's going on? And I hope we can go into that game and absolutely rinse them and just gain that energy and momentum back.
Yeah, I mean, when you say about London, I think they're just hitting that lull that everyone's going to hit at some point. Do you know what I mean? What it is with London is they've got a lot of players who was or are the best players at their respective clubs, or So obviously, Kevin Ware's always been the best. DeAndre Liggins has played 8 seasons in the NBA, whatever it was. Dirk Williams has been the best wherever he goes. Justin Robinson, has been the best at London, for a long time. And now he's having to let all these new guys coming in, there's a lot of probably where the frustration comes from is because there's a lot of individuality there. Mm-hmm. And it's something that teams are taking advantage of. Do you know what I mean? And they are getting beat a lot.
In the past 3 games, Plymouth have beat them, Cheshire, but Cheshire obviously beat them the other week. Yeah. It's when you look at games like that, and we know that Plymouth, we knew coming into this season that Plymouth were strong. And then when we saw halfway through the season, Cheshire bring in new imports, we saw them bring in NBA, we saw them bring in these new class players. We knew they were going to be strong. And it's been proven that they've all gelled as a team, They only beat Surrey by 1 point the other week as well, London, it's...
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of comes into also, obviously, because we've got Cheshire on Sunday, that comes into that. Because Cheshire were only beating certain teams by 1 point. I mean, do they go up against Bristol tonight? I think they do, don't they? I can't remember.
Yeah, scroll down.
Yeah, I think they go against Bristol tonight. But either way, it just proves how competitive, the league is. Sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, no,
Friday.
It's my mistake. Yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
My mistake. Yeah, so they go against Bristol on Friday. But for me personally, every team can be every team. I know a lot of people say that, but it's so true. And fair play to Cheshire. They're getting through games, and sometimes you need that Karan Ross, 3-pointer at the end. They did that against Leicester. That's a good team.
Yeah.
And that just bodes well for the playoffs, because it doesn't mean anymore that Leicester say finish top and play whoever, and it's like, well, that's a given. No, it's not.
Yeah,
because we nearly beat Leicester.
So overtime.
Just what, two possessions away from beating Leicester? You know what I mean? If we'd have scored our free throws, we would have beat Leicester. Do you know what I mean? Must have beat Leicester. But likewise, Sheffield went up to Newcastle and wiped the floor with them.
Yeah. I think that's why I had so much confidence coming into this weekend just gone, because I was like, Sheffield rinsed them.
Yeah. And, we pushed Sheffield all the way, and that was without Jeremy Paul. I mean, don't like I said previously, and I want to kind of draw a line under that Newcastle game because I don't want to be too negative, but it was just the fact that a few players stepped up for Newcastle, and I say it every week. That's what you just need. You know, look at the stats. What did they average and what did they get in that game? And they're the players that stepped up.
Yeah.
And they relied on 6 players, and them 6 players came through for them. Again, we could play London on Friday, and I don't know, Alex Owande, Zach Powell could have the game of his life. We just don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It really, really all depends on the game. London's offense could be more susceptible to our offense could be more susceptible to London's defense, more so than Newcastle. It really does. Doesn't matter. I mean, I know obviously they've got a few big guys, London, but they've got no one as big as Jeremy Poor. So that's going to be something we're going to take advantage of.
Yeah.
We've seen it in several games where London have been bullied on the boards. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, mate.
Likewise, a few days later when we play Cheshire, it's going to be a completely different game because they've got 7-foot Jimbo Lullen. What is he, 6'9", I think, Brian Manning?
NBA, yeah, I think it's about 6'9".
You know what I mean? So it's 2 different games. We've got to rely on something else. Regarding Cheshire, I think absolute kudos to Ben Thomas. I know we don't want to talk too much about Cheshire on this, but he's got that perfect mix now. He's probably got that team he wanted at the start of the season now.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably got 2 of the best point guards in the league there. I don't massively rate Jimbo Lowell because I think he fades in and out of games, but he's still one of the league's top big men. Stats wise and everything. So fair play. Obviously, NBA has done it all his career, so we know what we're getting with him. And obviously Jalen Hayes stepping up now again. You can't predict these 2 games. You can't. It all depends who turns up for each team. You know what I mean? So,
I think that that kind of rounds off nicely the pre-game, post-game kind of section. We spoke on the phone before the show. I just wanted to touch on just a hypothetical question that we polled on that we set an open question up on Instagram story about how to improve the BBL. Now we had a few comments come in regarding more exposure for the game, and they did mention that obviously we've got Sky, and that's one way of doing it. Obviously, socials are a big thing right now with the whole lockdown situation and COVID and everything. Socials have been a massive part of that to gain more attention to the game. One thing that did come up was, now I don't want to go too much into this because we know there's a lot of backstory and a lot of politics that we can get into of it. But if you were to bring in, right now we've got 11 teams in the BBL. We did have 12 until a few years ago, with Leeds Force obviously dropping out. Where do you stand on what's your ideal number of teams in the BBL? Not necessarily who, but what's your ideal number?
An even number. So obviously it doesn't work out, really. It's not like local league where, you play once a week and you get a bye, you're not playing, and you wake up on that Sunday morning, you're like, oh, for God's sake. You know what I mean? But for me, it's got to be an even number personally. I think for me, I'd say, ideally 20 teams would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 20 teams would be absolutely fantastic, but the season would last forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think probably 12 to 14 teams, I think, would be ideal.
Yeah.
I do think there is several teams who could step up.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And obviously you guys know who they are, Worthing Thunder, Salt and Kestrels, you've got some really, really good teams in there. I'm not taking too much notice of the NBL as it stands because there's so much going on with COVID.
Yeah.
They've not got the same sort of screening as what the BBL's got and other sports have got. So you can't really, I watched, obviously, Derby Trailblazers got smashed the other week by, I forgot who it was now, but that's not a usual scoreline, do you know what I mean? So, but again, Derby's a big club. I've played against them. They're a good team. They could step up. There's several teams. Even like shout out to Manchester Magic. They used to win that league with a blindfold for a few seasons. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Also got a shout out to a potential multi-million pound development in Brighton as well. Could we see a return for the Brighton Bears?
Exactly. And Cam Hildreth, has walked into. I know he's a great player, but he still has to put the work in, and he's walked into the Surrey Scots. He's probably starting lineup. He should be, So and he competed in the D1. Obviously, like I said, without going too much into the politics, it depends for them teams whether it's beneficial, because we know you've got to have a certain amount of money to be in the BBL. We know you've got to have a certain amount of sponsors to be in the BBL.
Yeah.
Academies,
things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Academies, everything. You've got to have everything. And with all that comes money. And with money comes sponsors. You need to find them sponsors. Not everyone's got money to give out to basketball and things like that. I get that. And unfortunately, like we've touched on before, it's not a massively well-funded sport where you can just pump money into other teams' academies and things like that. You can't do it. So I do respect the fact that Team Salt and Kestrels, and teams like that would compete in the BBL. They genuinely would. We've seen it. I mean, was it Solent who beat us in the cup the other year? I can't remember.
I think it was Worthing, because they scored a ridiculous amount of threes.
Yeah, Worthing. So they can compete. So it's true, and it's a testament to how good the sort of sport is doing. But like I said, without going too much into the monetary and politics, it's something that they obviously feel, because you mentioned one team there, Leeds 4 stepped up, went down again.
Yeah,
we've seen it. Guildford Heat. Some teams can't financially do it. We know Giants haven't been amazing financially. Probably probably could have dropped. Giants didn't get the team back till, what was it, 11 or 12?
12,
probably. Yeah, due to financial difficulties. So it's one of the things, you need that backing. But unfortunately, it's whether you want to put all the money in, because it needs to be beneficial for these companies.
I think that the biggest thing is it is risk of reward. This BBL situation, it's huge.
Because we know how much Bellevue will cost. We know how much it'll cost to get all the camera equipment and everything in there. We know how much you have to go put in, because even when you just put a National League team in, it's quite a lot of money to give to the England basketball. Yeah. Rightfully so, because they've got stuff to pay for, but then you've got to pay for your refs and everything on top of it. We know how much it costs. That's why teams aren't necessarily doing that step up for me personally, and I think that's why it's great that they play the trophy games and they do get a chance to go. Obviously, this season has been a little bit disjointed, but I think you'll see next season there could be a really good step up, and there's some really good players out there.
I really hope so, mate.
Before.
I really hope so, because I think, again, it's one of those subjects where we can talk about for hours on end about how if there's a platform for it, if there's a push for it, if the teams themselves have the resources, and not necessarily just the money as well, but the resources and the staff and volunteers to go out into the community and to get people involved in the team. There is, I can honestly say, there's about 10 to 15,000 sports, athletic students in college, in university, just in Manchester, that have never been exposed to basketball.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And even if you get 5%, so if you get 500 of those interested, that small number out of what we've got just in the Manchester area, out of that 500, you're going to get at least 25 elite players.
Yeah, agreed.
If every area in the country does that, this league will be absolutely phenomenal. And we can sit here in 5 years' time and go, well, I told you, look at this. Look at the standard of the BBL now, it's...
Yeah. I tell you, do you know what I think would benefit it, but it could never happen because of money. But and this is only because the basketball isn't a well-funded sport. What would benefit is if you come in, say, bottom and you get relegated, things like that. Teams having the chance to step up as a natural progression, rather than just winning D1 and you stay in D1.
I completely agree. If you're showing like you're winning D1, you should have the chance to come up to the BBL. I completely agree.
Because, you see, in football, the championship, if you get promoted from there, you get a load of money to go into the Premiership. So it's like a parachute, it cushions the landing into the Premiership. The highest paid game in football is the Championship playoff.
Yeah.
to go into the Premier League. That's how much money's knocking around in football in the Premier League. Obviously, they've got the money from, like BT Sports, Sky Sports, etc. coming into that. Get that. I totally get that. And that's why they can do it. But I think for basketball to improve and them teams to be able to step up, it'd need that natural progression where you win D1, you go into the BBL, might not do too well, you drop down again, you regroup, you come back. That you need that.
I think obviously now before we get any comments, that's going to be hard because obviously D1 aren't professionals. You pay your subs, you go up. Like there's obviously that professional gap, whereas from Premier League down to Division 4, like League 4, they're all pros or semi-pros. Yeah, exactly.
It comes to money. It comes to money again.
Exactly.
Yeah, it comes to money. You see it all the time in Cup. When the FA Cup's played, and say for example, Plymouth have got Man City going to them. The money that generates for that club.
I was going to say you're sitting there massive. willing them to get a draw, aren't you? So they can go up to the exit. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And each and every one of them, that game gains money, but that's because the money's in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, basketball, apart from bits and bats, is self-funded. So these teams need to self-fund them. If Team Solent Kestrels could be monetary beneficial by being in the BBL, I know I'll keep mentioning them, but obviously there is other teams, they would do it.
Yeah.
They would do it.
If they had the financial resources to do so, we'd be doing a pre-game show about them.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. Unfortunately for us, we're in a great monetary situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As we've mentioned, Leeds, Force, Guildford, Heat teams have dropped out and not come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Again, it's a conversation, and if you listen to this, please jump on our social medias, tweet us, let us know your thoughts, let us know in the comments down below what you would do. Is there any ideas you've got that you can put forward to the BBL to try and help out this situation? Just let us know, get involved. I think that brings us nicely onto our little back end of the show. We put up a poll on Twitter for our #sponsored WingVille winner of the week. We had quite a healthy amount of results, but not as many as we would like. Now, if you're scared that your vote, I know we will never be satisfied. If you were a bit wary that you wanted to vote for something, but you didn't want to show if your name would pop up, your name does pop up on our Instagram stories, which we will obviously keep confidential and anonymous. But if you head over to our Twitter feed, anytime we run a poll, it is all anonymous. We can't see who you voted for. So please get involved. Please jump on. There's no judgment here,
I've got pictures of the Giants players just like going on there, just like David off.
Just getting all those all like random emails set up so you can get a free subscription to Netflix. Our WingVille win of the week is our signing of Aaron Jramipur.
Downgrade, Dave, as we've seen early on. Whoa!
He opened up his debut game with 16 points coming off the bench, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So thank you very much, Ryan Paul, for returning to Manchester. And we're just really excited to see what you've got in your bag for the rest of the season, man. It's going to be a real good season now, mate. It really is.
Yeah, and like I said, just to sort of, before we go into the shout-outs and everything, and to end the show on a positive note, this is, I know we come across as passionate, And I don't go on that fans group. I read the comments, but I don't write anything. Jake obviously is a little bit more interactive with you guys, and everything we say is from a fan's perspective, from our personal view, but as a fan's perspective. All we want is for everyone and all of us to be on the same page, you know. And I want nothing more than to come on here going, 2 wins then, Jake. Yeah, this weekend, London and Cheshire. What do you think about that? And it's one of them. In a way, we're quite fickle in Manchester because, like, City got beat by United, but if we beat Southampton tonight, always forgiven. Do you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
You know, we are quite. You know, even if we win one of the games, because they're both massive games. They're both games are described as energizers. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, we're not being negative. We're just getting out our frustrations, and that's why we say to you, contact us if you want to put a voice note you want us to put on the show. Get at us, we'll do it. We're obviously within reason, but you know, we're more than happy for that because we are for you guys, and we don't want people to think that these are just our views, because this is us. Everything we say on here, we've spoke to 3 or 4 players, 5 players. We spoke to coach. We spoke to Jamie. We spoke to Harry the photographer. We spoke to the fans. Everybody, absolutely everybody. We've spoke to ex-players, I, at least once or twice a week. I'm on the phone to Pilco, talking away. It's just little bits of views. It's just us doing our views and bringing it in and putting it on here, and that's what we want. But just to end it on a positive thing, we're still going well. We've got that team now. We've got another full week or 5 days of training to crack it. I've spoke to the guys. The training's going well, and let's just kick on and try and get a win this weekend. And if we don't, we go again. If we get 2, we go again. We're the exact same. Just as fans, we just want 100% effort, and as long as we can see that, I'm sure we'll all be happy. If you stuck around to the end of the show, give us a message saying "Bereat."
Yeah. Comment it down below. Make sure you say the word "Bereat," and we know that you stuck around to this entire show. Yeah. Up until this point, it's been amazing as always. We'll move on to the shout-outs. So thank you very much for sticking around to this point of the show. You know what to do already. If you enjoyed it up to now, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that shaz. Any shout-outs you want to give out especially this week, mate?
No, the fans, if I'm honest with you, again, we just touched on it before, the interlude bit, but just keep on being passionate and keep on spreading your views, because the players see it and we see it, and everyone to do with the club sees it, and that's what we like. Keep spreading your views, keep supporting us. And I'll tell you something now, Jake, because I'm looking at each thread. They've all got 50, 60, 70 comments on, and sometimes double that amount on likes. If that many people are coming into Bellevue, can't wait to see you all, because more and more times I'm on other fans groups and they don't get half as much interaction. You know what I mean? So keep
involved. Yeah, keep involved.
Keep involved. Keep messaging us. Keep talking to us. Keep everything, because again, from home, unfortunately, but you are still proving why we are the best fans in the country.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think the engagement we have as a fans group, or fans in general, with the players, now this is taking me and Jordan out of the equation. Honestly, take it from us, the players see every single word. Even if they don't like your tweet, or even if they don't like your comment, trust me, they will be on their phones and they see everything, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it's constructive, whatever we write on our fans group, on our Twitter, trust me, they see it.
And if they don't, we tell them.
Yeah. We'll get on the phone and be like, hey, you seen what Jake said today?
Yeah. Marie from Wigan said. No, but I mean, to be honest with you, just as a sort of back thing on that, again, I've been playing on Fortnite and things with Justin Satchel.
He's actually just messaged me now saying Fortnite.
He's just messaged me as well. He's just messaged me as well. That's what's reminded me of it. But I've been winding him up for the last week or so, saying like, was you on the bench for that game or what? Because he's been missing. You know, that's just the interaction we've got. So it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. Yeah. So keep being them fans because we love it.
Yeah,
because we love it. And also a big for me personally, because obviously Jake does a lot of the stuff on social media, but a big shout out for me to the BBL show. Again, shouting us out. You know, we absolutely love it, and it's brilliant. We listen and watch every episode, and yeah, we're gonna see who's the better host when hopefully we get Jay
Marriott on. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, but no, that's my shout outs done, mate. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, just to go off the back of that, you know, shout out BBL show. You've, you know, especially in the Marriott Minute, talking to us just on and offline when, you know, you interact with us on Twitter, when you shout us out on the show, that doesn't go amiss. It's massively helpful, and it's really good to see this little community we have as basketball fans, not just as podcasters or shows. It's really nice to see that we're still sticking together. So thank you very much for that, guys. As always, we wrap it up with a huge shout out to Manchester Giants. We can't confirm anything right now, but we do have some stuff very exciting lined up in the pipeline. If you haven't seen our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikTok, our YouTube that you're watching on now, go and check them all out. Go and give us a follow. You've seen our recent posts on Facebook. We'll go in and have a look at a little flashback to old episodes. And in the future, we've got a nice On This Day coming your way, where we even go back to a 2013 game. So keep your eyes peeled for that. As always, guys, thank you very much for listening, watching, wherever you are. Thank you for taking your time out of the day to listen to our monotoned Mancunian voices. We'll see you next time. Go and check it out. Thank you very much, guys.